Banana slam jam.
So this is going to be another replay analysis. This is a mid Zeus, I believe. Might be offlane, since he has a DK. What's DK got? Nope, it looks like it's a mid lane Zeus. So I'm not going to talk about his laning stage items too much. I think they're reasonable. Generally, I don't see too many people get clarities, but I don't play Zeus recently, so I'm going to more focus on the conceptual aspects of this game. Generally, what I do when I'm analyzing mid-player replays, just because it is my least played role, at least my least familiar with in terms of the exact efficiencies and such. So I'll focus more so on your role in the game and what you can do to conceptually boost your mid lane play. I will talk about a bit of mechanics in the mid lane if I see them. But yeah, this is a 2.5k mid lane Zeus. Okay.
30 seconds to battle.
So far, everything seems reasonable. It is a pretty damn good Zeus game. Other than Jug, your hero's good against all of them. Jug just obviously has magic immunity and healing ward for his team. I assume you picked after the Tinker.
First blood.
First blood, and it's already icing
Forcing the
over.
laser onto yourself. I pretty much would always use that branch to tango, but I guess it's not required. Most people do though. So far, you are proving your prowess of the mid lane to be better than your opponent. That is, so far, my analysis. So what I mean by that is, it seems like your mid lane mechanics are probably not what's holding you back. You are doing a good job of being pretty aggressive, spellcasting on him, getting a couple of right clicks in, bullying him away, giving yourself the items you need to have mana, going for a bottle next.
Dire's middle tower.
So you've
is under
successfully
attack.
controlled the lane. Definitely should have put that tango in your inventory sooner, but that's like a small thing. It definitely matters, but look to do that. I don't think Tinker really benefits from an Invis rune, so I wouldn't really care about that much. He probably doesn't have a bottle. He actually TP'd back. Well, so clearly your mid lane mechanics are better than 2k. Fast forwarding.
Invisibility.
Yeah, it's kind of why I wouldn't get a clarity against Tinker, but I mean, it's just a small thing, but for the most part, you don't really have time off in the mid lane to spend 30 seconds claritying, and if you're not going to get the effective use of the clarity, then, like, why buy it? Okay. So, I mean, clearly you're shitting on this guy, right? So what we're going to look for in this replay is what you do with this lead. And you end up losing, so either you mess up a lot or mess up once or twice when your teammates aren't very good. That's generally what's going to happen here.
Denied.
The thing about your bracket is, yeah, it'll help you to win the lane, but you don't even have to be that great of a laner to win the lane in your bracket. Because, like, in my bracket, whenever I play mid lane, I'm playing against a guy who's played, 8,000 games of mid. In your bracket, sometimes you'll play against non-mid laners, sometimes, the guy just sucks in general. So you have to just focus on doing things fundamentally strong. So you end up killing the Tinker. Obviously with the gank from CM more so the support doing it, but you wouldn't have gotten the kill that easily if you weren't so far ahead.
Double damage.
You're doing a pretty good job of rune controlling.
Zeus.
Whoa. Okay, so we know he's a maxed laser rocket Tinker. So all we need to do is not feed him a kill. I would even argue you could, like, look to, what do you call it? Oh my god, this is so crazy of you.
Radiant's
Oh my
top
god.
tower is under attack.
Okay, so let me just remind you that that's a level 5 Tinker, and you're a level 7 Zeus. So no trading of kills is beneficial for you. And I think that you should have never get... When you're this far ahead, the only thing that can go wrong is that you die. And since he went max laser rocket, you just have to itemize to continue dominating, which in this case, like if he went max march, there's kind of just going to be this point where you stop being able to mess with him. Meaning that he's just going to march out the wave and walk away. And maybe you'll get the denies and stuff, but he's not really going to do much to you, and you're not going to be able to do much to him. You're still controlling the lane, but you can't do much about it, other than make sure that you're pushing it in and forcing him to come back as much as possible. But when he's maxing laser rocket, what that actually means is that he can't do anything outside of the lane. He can't leave the lane at all. So all you have to do at that point is control the lane, and that's what matters the most. And so against laser rocket Tinker, he doesn't harass you that well. He kind of just pokes you down and then eventually tries to kill you when you're at like 400 health. But if you're at max health, he's just never doing anything to you. So you need to recognize the build that the opponent's going for and the strengths and weaknesses of it. So the weakness of his build is he can't go jungle. So that means if you control the lane, he's fucked. But the strength of his build is that he does have a lot of max burst potential, and he can actually look to kill you if you drop low enough. So I probably would have like finished this null, bought some raindrops, and like salved up. That's probably what I would do here, because raindrops effectively negate a little over half of these missiles. So that's very effective use of your raindrops.
Double damage. By Zeus.
So you basically just give him the only way back into the game for him. Yeah, you get the kill first, but feeding away a mid kill to a support even is like a pretty big throw when you're this far ahead. It's just unreasonable that you die here. It's like, I know you know this kill or this death is probably bad, but like now that Lion's level 4, like in a half actually, and like yeah, your Crystal Maiden ends up getting 2 kills, but I would say you dying here is like pretty insane with how far ahead you are. It's easily preventable would probably be a better description. So you have another ward. What do you plan to do with that? So you do end up getting a kill on him.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So kind of back to where we were. He was nice enough to give you another kill.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
God's wrath.
So this is the type of example where a guy will come up to me and say, BSJ, I had 19 kills and we lost the game. What does this kill do? What does this effectively do? I've talked about this in a lot of coaching sessions. Your job when you are ahead is to say, because I am ahead, I can control this much. Like whatever that is in every given game. I can control this area. And if anybody steps into my area, I fuck them up. And how many heroes does it take to boot me out of my area? These are the type of questions I'll ask myself. Meaning that, like, I'm allowed to play this far up, but if 4 heroes are missing, maybe I should back up a bit. If only 2 heroes are missing, I can still play like a raid boss. If 4 heroes are missing, I shouldn't be playing here. So effectively, you should bolt this lion whenever he walks up. That's true. But this lion's at his own fucking tier 3 now. Leave him alone. Like, what do you benefit from killing him here? He's worth probably 160 gold. That's how much this creep wave's worth. So not only are you, like, that's why bullying him away matters, right? Because you're effectively securing 160 gold, and the only reason you're killing him is because he's trying to get that 160 gold. And you're like, well, fuck you, and kill him, right? So then what you can do is, like, shove the lane into his tower, and he's getting dove and stuff. Instead, you kind of just skip the pushing the lane part and controlling the lane, and you just dove the guy. So this kill just serves absolutely no purpose. Like, it does nothing. You kill this guy, best case scenario, you have absolutely no mana left, and you go back to what you were doing. Which is not good, because you have no mana now. So you should try your best to control whatever area you have taken over because you are ahead, and not leave it. This is just a pointless kill that instead of getting a kill, which I gave you best case scenario, you are obviously experiencing worst case scenario. Basically, you are insane for chasing the lion that far. And those kills are massive. Like, that death there is incredibly important. I can't emphasize enough. If you're this far ahead in the mid lane and you die like this, especially on a hero like Zeus, who kind of like becomes squishier and squishier as the game goes on, these deaths are incredibly crippling.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Okay, so obviously you should just be getting this CS, but you know, shit happens.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Okay, that guy's out of position, kill him, right? Like, that's fine. Pretty obviously fine kill there. Okay.
Face up to your mortality.
So, in this case, the only reason you wouldn't be mid is because you're afraid of dying, right? Always ask yourself, would I rather be full health with the entire opponent team alive, or no health with their 3 cores dead? Or like 3 very important heroes dead? The answer is, I believe you'd rather be low health with most of their heroes
Face
dead.
up to your mortality.
So you have this long before they're alive. You see Lion top. You have 2 wards covering your ass everywhere mid. Clear the next wave. You have 300 mana. Make use of every ounce of resources you have in the game of Dota 2. You should clear the next wave, then base. Very big deal, actually. So I don't hate the Ether Lens first. I probably would have leaned towards going bots first, because it allows you to play... bots are just like Leshrac and Batrider on Zeus. It allows you to like farm and then participate in the game, instead of doing this, where you're walking away from mid.
Middle tower is under attack.
So if you're going to play like this, buy bots. If you're going to farm mid and sit behind the tower, buy Ether Lens. Don't do both, or like half of one and half of the other. It's just like, yeah, you killed a lion, but you missed 2 creep waves and took, you know, 200 damage on your tier 1 mid. It's like, yeah, the tier 1 mid damage seems pretty irrelevant, but that shit adds up, and if that hero was something more than a Tinker, you would have definitely lost more tower HP than that. And I have to believe that you giving Tinker all that free farm in the mid lane is not worth killing a lion. Here we find ourselves going back to base again. Definitely just inefficient. Almost every time I've now done like 3 replay analysis for around your bracket in the mid lane, and it's just inefficiencies, man. You don't have to go to base that often. Fly yourself a salve, you know, fly yourself clarities. Don't participate in these random ass kills like this. If you're gonna TP mid, guess what, man? You TP'd mid. If you plan to participate in kills, walk to your lane. Okay? Walk. Because then if this starts to happen and you want to be a part of it, you can immediately TP and turn the gank. Instead, you're showing up late. It's just like a strictly inefficient way to do the exact same thing. So you do this gank, but instead of saving your lifestealer and like turning the gank, you all 3 die. Or most likely all 3 die. Okay, well, 2 of your players died, and now you have no health and you're stuck bottom, and you died. Oh, the raindrops, okay. So just notice how often you're spending doing nothing. Meaning, like, yeah, you're killing people, but you haven't farmed at all. So a lot of the use of your TPs, as well as your efficiency on the map, has to do with the fact that when people say, wow, how did this really good player, insert name here, manage to participate in all these kills while also farming? It's a lot of your TP usage, as well as your small efficiency things. It's why they buy salves and shit, instead of going back to base. You've just spent so much time in the bottom lane. So much time. So if you're gonna play like this, buy bots, please. That's why people buy bots. So because they feel like they have to play like this, but they also don't want to have 62 CS on a mid Zeus at 17 minutes into the game.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
So generally in the game of Dota, I simply ask myself, what did it feel like went wrong in that game? And it's like, maybe I didn't have enough sustain. Maybe I didn't have enough tankability, like survivability. Maybe I was just too killable. Maybe I played too aggressive. Maybe I played not aggressive enough. Maybe, you know, all these things. And in this case, maybe I find myself walking all around the map. If that's the case, why don't you have a win lace? Why don't you have bots? You know, I know I've hyped on these bots a lot. Harped on the fact that you don't have bots a lot. But this is a pretty straightforward example to use in a lot of other games. Meaning that don't let this isolated incidents teach you incident teach you only that you should have bought bots on Zeus. Don't let this teach you. Let this, in a broad manner, teach you to understand, to look at what you feel like is going wrong in a game and fixing it. And addressing it based on, what were the heroes going on? Why did you feel like you had to do that? So that in the future, when you're in a similar position with a different hero or even the same hero, you'll be able to address it, right? So it's like, in this case, you're just walking everywhere, and you're doing it with 340 move speed. It's like, that's just really inefficient. I've probably seen 3 minutes of you in the last 8 of walking. It just doesn't happen if you think of this stuff before. And it's like, if you're not going to buy walking around items on Zeus, then don't walk around. It's like, BSJ, maybe I don't have enough experience in Dota or on Zeus to know that I was supposed to be participating. My point is, if you think about the items you're buying, then stick to what they do, right? Aetherlens is a sustained mana item that gives you cast range, so it makes you safer. It makes you sit behind mid lane and farm it from a safer distance. If you're going to buy an Aetherlens, by all means, do that, and maybe I'll flame you and say you had to be more active in this game, right? Like, that's maybe the flame I'm going to give you. But I guarantee you're not going to make it to 4K, at least, if your items don't kind of line up with what you're doing. I've had a few 4K players. Maybe they're a bit more mechanically efficient building the wrong items. But like their version of building the wrong items is still efficient. They'll just maybe make use of the items incorrectly or whatever. The point is, if you think about the way you want to play the game, even if you're wrong, your items should always reflect what you're planning to do. It's like, if I'm a Slark, it also goes for your skill builds. If I'm a Slark, and I actually flamed somebody for doing something similar on PL. Oh, he was PL. Okay, I'll talk about this. I asked him on PL what his plan was at level 6. And he said, I most likely want to leave this lane. And he had maxed Lance because he was trying to contest the lane. I'm like, well, you can't max Lance if you're planning on leaving the lane. And I know I had another guy, it might have been a same guy with like a different game. And he said, I thought I could contest this lane. And then I tell him, well, even if you could contest, here's why you're wrong. At least his skill build lined up with the fact that he wanted to contest. But you should have a general game plan of what you want to be doing. And then if you think you should be roaming around the map, buy items that do that. If you are in the game and you're staying stationary, meaning like, oh, I don't think I have to do anything this game other than sit behind my tower and be efficient. But then after the game, maybe your team was getting ran over, and you felt like you had to be more mobile. Then you could consider, what items should I have built? Why did I have to be more mobile? Was it because my safe lane got dumpstered? Was it because their heroes were really aggressive? But in this game specifically, they have a Tinker. So you could be more mobile, but it would be proactive. So it's like in the game I just played, I had a Storm Spirit mid on the opponent team, and I had a guy last pick Medusa. So the problem that I had with his Medusa pick was we had 4 heroes that were vulnerable to getting zipped on by Storm, and we had a last pick Medusa. So what does the Storm Spirit do from minute 6 until minute 20 because we have a Medusa? He just runs around the map killing us. It's like he realized that because my mid laner is incredibly passive, that he can run around the map doing things. So when you see the opponent mid like Tinker, who's passive, you have 2 choices to punish passivity. One, to out-farm them and out-aggression them by shoving their tower. You're a Zeus, he's a Tinker. You're probably not taking his tower. So that's options out the window. If you're like a, like a DK or, any hero that pushes the mid tower and you're ahead, you're probably going to choose that option, like most likely, right? But if you're in a situation where the other guy is hyper passive and you don't feel like you can take his tower, you should look to maximize your own farm, but also look to punish the opponent lanes as much as possible, knowing that the Tinker is not going to be able to show up. So with all those things in mind, your playstyle here is fine, meaning running around the map and trying to participate in the game. But the fact is, I would rather you have built the items you have right now and not done that. Like, I'd rather you be wrong about your playstyle, but have your playstyle line up with the items you build. I know I'm like harping on that a lot, but it's just such a reoccurring theme I see with people that I swear to God, if you guys play like 2,000-3,000 games of Dota, which most of you have at least, you have to know generally speaking, what each item kind of does. Meaning, like, you know, Boots of Travel allow me to farm as well as run around the map. So buy the items that do what you think they do, you know, that's what you plan to do. And if you don't know, you can always ask people or watch what streamers build or watch what professional players build to see, you know, he was running around the map a lot, what kind of items did he build? Or he was playing this way, what kind of items did he build? If you don't know, that's something you can try to learn. But as of now, it's become a very reoccurring theme in these replays. So, like, even then, I don't mind these kill participation. But because you're a Zeus and you don't push towers or anything, you should be immediately running back to the mid lane. Which you are. But instead of TPing there with bots and defending your tower, guess what? That 200 damage that you gave up on that mid tower incrementally at a time has now lost you your mid tower. Obviously, you guys get the deny, but you lost your mid tower to a... Okay, Beastmaster was never there. To a Tinker, Slardar, Lion. Those are the only 3 enemy heroes that have shown up in the mid lane. That tells you a lot about what you did in regards to your own tower. In the mid lane, if you are winning, you should just virtually never give up your tower. Unless that is like a Pugna or a Leshrac, where you leave your lane once and the guy might just take it. Or like a Pugna, no matter how often you're in the lane, he's going to be nuking it off cooldown, kind of. You know, it's like if you leave the lane once against Lesh, you know, maybe he'll take your tower. The point is, you gave up your tower against Tinker, Slardar, Lion. You're going to give up your tower to everything. Literally everything. Your mid tower is going to die to, if that's what you're giving it up to, right? So, very important there. I don't mind if you go Ether Lens Ags, but just get the transition to get there needs to be much smoother. So apparently your Lifestealer wants to gank with a Zeus. So this game is just going to become super awkward for you, is what I can tell you from what I know about Dota. You're going to feel very lost in exactly where you should go on the map. There's no clear objectives for you to take because you're against a Beastmaster who kills you, Slardar plus Tinker who kills you. At this point, you can't really play alone, you can only play behind your team. And what that means is you probably just won't be farming all that much other than hero kills. Once again, you have 83 CS at 21 minutes on a mid. You just died solo. You basically just died to an enemy carry pushing R on you. Those types of deaths are game losing. Not much else to say about that. You walked into their jungle with no survivability items against 5 heroes that all kill you. So that's just awareness of how strong your hero is. Or not. So that's just way overvaluing your own survivability. If you want to play up and aggressive, don't pick Zeus. So, at this point in the game, remember those 2 deaths you had in the laning stage? That made it so, combined with the fact that you don't have bots for efficiency, so that at this point in the game, instead of having bots, Etherland, and Ags, you have these items. Remember that? That's why you're dying right now. It really is that simple. Like, if you're a hero like Sniper, like Zeus, like Drow, if you die once or twice, unnecessarily early, it's going to lead to, at some point in the game where you should have hit your timing, you're not going to hit your timing, and then you're going to die like 2 or 3 more times right before you hit that timing. It's not a surprise here. It happens. It's like deja vu every single time you play a hero like this. So, these type of deaths, I hate to say it, just kind of suck. But please, you avoid them by the early deaths. Once you get to this point, you just need to play with your team, and you need to sit behind your team, and you need to recognize that because of what you did in the early game, that implies that you are fucked on farm, meaning that your hero cannot farm. That is like, so people would say, BSJ, obviously I'm going to mess up sometimes. What do I do at this point in the game? You need to recognize you die to literally everything. Literally everything. So you get to sit behind your DK or sit behind your Lifestealer, and that's your life for the rest of the game. Like, that's what you get to do. That is the optimal play, by the way.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
So you finish your X. I can't believe you even considered going for these runes. That's nutty.
Dire's
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. The way you're walking on the map right now, if you just like casually walk into anybody on the opponent team, you're just dead as shit. Like, you're walking through the river, super aggressive. You're walking through mid creeps in vision, super aggressive. A good player would see you walking through the creeps mid like that and just be like, look at this dumbass, and just fucking kill you, right? If you're gonna walk around the map like a raid boss, pick a hero that's a raid boss. Do not play like a raid boss when you're a Zeus against 5 heroes that kill you with Ags, Ether, Lens, Brown Boots, right? Like, just don't do it. So what I'm saying is, please try to think more critically about your own survivability. Even though you don't necessarily die there, I'm like, if I were on your team and I saw you doing this, I'd be getting like, when I talk about on my stream where I'm like, this guy's giving me anxiety. Like, what is he doing? What I'm saying is, I know that he's just killable if someone on the opponent team happens to be right there. Like, just right there, you're gonna die. Like, that's why I'm like, this guy's giving me anxiety. I think like he's gonna die at any moment now. And he's just playing like he owns the world, and he just doesn't. So if, like, in my opinion, this game's all about you pushing lanes out, feeling safe, getting to that blink dagger as soon as possible, because otherwise you have no way to really survive, and you have to hope for the best from there.
This'll come in handy.
Okay, so now you guys are down by just a little. What are you going for now? E-Blade? Whew. I think Blink Dagger is like too important. If you get gone on by Slardar, you're just dead. Without a Blink Dagger. I mean, like I said, you should already have the bots. So like at this point, it might even be too late to go bots because you're too squishy. That was too dangerous. What the hell are you doing there? Why are you in the river instead of farming it from the cliff? Okay, all I can say is about your map positioning and your opinion on how survivable you are as a replay analyst is giving me anxiety. It is making me nervous for you 80% of the game, knowing that when you walk and you happen to walk into somebody on the opponent team, you're dead as shit. Like, I'm not saying you're gonna die every time. I'm saying that whenever someone just happens to be there, like if there was a Slardar near mid or something, right there when you walked into the river, instead of farming it from as far away as possible, you would have just died. Like, you would have died. So, you may not be dying to 2.5k players, but I guarantee you, in the last 3 minutes, you would have died 17 times to somebody in my bracket. Like, they would have killed you so many times, it's insane. So what I'm saying is, in the most productive way possible, please think more closely about your positioning on the map, how you die, and what exactly kills you. And in this game, it's a nice game to practice, because it's literally everything. So act like it. You know what I'm saying? Cool. If you're behind your team, you're still a strong hero. Because your only problem in this game is you're squishy as fuck and you'll die to anything. So notice how all the times that you're walking in after your team's already started fighting, you're good to go. You're Gucci, bruh. And that's fine. But you, like, ever playing in front of your teammates, even showing on this tower is pretty nutty to me. You do, you know, no right-click damage as a Zeus. Right now I'm thinking, I have a ward, and if anybody were to walk like this, I'm dead as shit. So I can't be walking here. Okay, Tinker's up a Pega, he died, nice. Working out so far. They just casually walked into you from the obvious direction, so that's fortunate. And you guys still lost the fight. And you're still dead. Okay, cool. I feel like they played that terribly and you still lost, so I guess that says a lot. We'll be wrapping this up pretty quickly here.
Radiant are scanning.
I probably would have gone like Blink Yule's BKB or something like that. I think Ghost Scepter is reasonable. It's just that it doesn't really solve like the Lion Tinker problem. So like Yule's kind of solves the Jug Slardar problem, and then BKB solves all the other problems. If you're really confident you'll just never need a BKB, then you can just buy like, you know, Blink Yule's and an Octarine or something. Okay, enemy team's throwing. Great, great.
Smart money.
Very nice.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower.
Hey, you went boss.
Roshan has fallen to the
Okay, so they're dead. You're cool to farm this. But now they're alive. I wouldn't go for this creep wave because they're alive. And they could have been here by now. Are you dead? I'm not sure. I think you could be. But no, they're top. So here's how I generally think here. BSJ, he didn't die. He got to push out an extra wave. He did it right. No. So, what I've noticed from my own personal observation, it's kind of been brought to my attention by other players, but it's something that's been pointed out to me, is when I sit down here like this and I give you the internal narrative of, oh my god, they're alive now. If they TP'd bottom, they would have made it here by now. I could be dead. But what that generally means is they could be somewhere doing something. That's what that means, right? It means that they could be to you, but that also means they could be top. So by you staying bottom, that means they're either going to kill you or they're going to kill your team. So what do you have to do? You go to your team. So then they have no play. Beautiful. Or you can sit in the trees and wait for them to expose themselves if you want to be able to help top but not commit to helping top. So your two options are to hide very carefully in the trees or to go with your team. Those are the two choices. But by showing yourself bottom, you've effectively said either kill me or kill my team. That's what you've said. Doesn't matter what hero you are. Okay, so we're here now. You have absolutely no mana.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I feel like you'd be a lot more impactful if you had mana. I probably would have let myself die there, to be honest. So, in Dota, when it comes to the 25-30 minute mark, your job is to do as much farming and efficiency as you can without dying, while being able to participate in any fight at any moment. So on every hero, that requires you to understand how much mana you can use, how much time, like how survivable you are, how long it takes you to get to the fight. You need to be there immediately. Can you show up to the fight a tad late? You know, what are the parameters that surround that? So there's nothing more to it than you can't be this late into the game with an Aegis and show up to a fight with no mana. Like, you just can't. So it's on you to look back on the replay and say, should I have not TP'd bottom directly? Should I have TP'd base? Should I have flown myself 3 mangoes? Should I have not cleared that extra wave? Should I have not used my nuke to clear the wave? What was it that you could have done differently to not show up to this fight with no mana? I'm pretty sure you lost that fight because you had no mana. I'm pretty sure Beastmaster dies, and I'm pretty sure if Beastmaster dies, your DK probably doesn't die. I mean, this is like a game-changing fight that you lost because you didn't have mana, which is pretty crazy, right? Like, holy shit, 33 minutes in the game. Imagine how many factors there are that go into a team fight, and you lost it because you didn't have mana. So all I'm telling you is it's unacceptable to farm away from your team and be incapable of fighting. You can do efficient plays on the map as long as you can be with your team. And if you're not with your team, tell them not to do stuff. And if they choose to do stuff anyway, you maybe should have considered not going away from your team, but also, you know, at that point, maybe it's not your fault. So in this case, yeah, you're living the tough life here. Holy Abyssal. Okay. Mario Leap, I appreciate that. I respect those. The game's kind of hard now. Their lineup does really outscale yours unless you're, like, controlling the map, I would say. DK offlane I don't think scales too well. Especially against, like, Tinker, Lion, Slardar. Your camera movement is, like, Arteezy level in terms of nausea-inducing.
Radiant are scanning.
I think what you're doing here is reasonable. Your DK was just farming a really bad part of the map, and I think this game is just really hard for your team because the opponent has so much pick-off. They have Lion, they have Tinker, they have Slardar, and I think your team's just going to start feeding a lot. And there's probably stuff you guys could do to like come back if they throw this game or whatever. But you guys aren't going to be able to farm. You pretty much have to 5-man and smoke to win this game and hope to get pickoffs. And in your bracket, that's probably unreasonable. Like, that's just... You can try. Like, you can try to get your team to do it, but you guys farming alone against this lineup is just going to lead to everyone dying over and over again. So your DK didn't realize that. You didn't realize that. Your CM tried to help your DK. The point is, we've talked about a lot that went wrong this game. And I hope you enjoyed this replay analysis, and it'll be up on YouTube as always. Thank you.